much, yeah. It is 6:30. I'm gonna take this with me, and that's there. Good evening. Thank you for being here. I am Jimmy Lentz, Chief of Cabarrus County EMS. I would like to welcome you to the 10th Annual Hearts and Heroes event. This is an event that at Cabarrus County EMS we look very forward to annually, and we are certainly glad to be back in an in-person setting. The last 2 years have been virtual, and they have been fantastic, but you lose a little bit when you're not in person, so we're glad to be back in person. We would like to start by saying thank you to several groups and individuals who makes this event and the amazing medical care that happens in this community occur. So with that, we'll start with the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners. We have Vice Chair Mr. Lynn Shue and Commissioner Kenny Wortman in attendance tonight. Cabarrus County Management, County Manager Mike Downs. We also have Dr. Catherine Waggy and Dr. Josh Hall, who are our medical directors for Cabarrus County EMS and the Cabarrus EMS system, which includes all the fire departments and everybody. And we also have from the North Carolina Office of EMS, Western Regional Specialist, Mr. Justin Bowers. So thank you for being here and your continued support to us and our services. This event gives us infrequent opportunity for medical caregivers to be reunited with patients they've previously cared for during critical medical events. This chain of medical care starts when someone recognizes the need for an emergency and dials 911. At this point, a very skilled 911 telecommunicator is on the other end of the phone, putting the amazing response system into motion and providing sense of comfort to the caller. While directing initial treatment through the emergency medical dispatch system, the next phase of response is highly trained first responders from local municipalities, both paid and volunteer, arriving to initiate care. Upon EMS arrival, paramedic level advanced life support care is initiated, which for those of you who don't know is the highest level of pre-hospital care you can provide. This care is continued through transport to Atrium Health Cabarrus, where an amazing group of medical caregivers has been alerted to our arrival and is waiting on the patient. This overall describes a systematic approach to providing the highest level of medical care a person can receive in the time of need. I would like to close by simply saying thank you to everyone who plays a key role in making this fantastic system of care possible, because a good portion of the folks in this group is what makes this work. Now I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Reverend Alan Thompson. Alan is a retired director of Cabarrus County EMS and is currently the program chair for the Emergency Medical Science Program and the Emergency Management Program at Rowan Cabarrus Community College. Alan.
Let us pray. Well, God, tonight we're so thankful that we have the chance to come to a sacred celebration, a celebration of life and a celebration of thanksgiving. Tonight we come here with thankful hearts for lives that have been saved, second chances. We're thankful for those who have made it their passion and their calling to serve their community by offering themselves in help. Tonight, we're thankful for a system of care that makes it possible for a difference to be made in this community. Lord, we hear names called out tonight, individuals, but we also know that you're in the midst of all of this, and we're thankful for what you allow to happen. And going forward tonight with hearts full of thanksgiving, we also pray blessings upon our time together, but also your direction going forward, that this community might continue to make a difference, and that those who are called will continue to be lifted up to say, use me that I might save a life. Tonight we give you the glory in all things. Amen. If you would stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Good evening, everyone. I am Justin Brines, the Deputy Chief of Administration for Cabarrus County EMS, and I want to echo what Chief Lynch just said. Welcome and thank you for being here. They told me I couldn't go off script, but I'm going to do it right at the beginning, so there you go for that. To everybody who is here in a uniform tonight, not only my colleagues who work at EMS, but the folks who we're going to get to recognizing here in just a second, none of this would be possible without you. Quality pre-hospital care does not exist in a vacuum, ever. And it starts from the very beginning when somebody calls 911, and it ends when that person walks out of the hospital after they've been potentially admitted for a period of time and go to rehab. So thank you. This is all for y'all. This is for the folks who are here, who not only the survivors, obviously we're here to celebrate you, but it's also here, we're also here to celebrate all the folks who put on a uniform every single day. Absolutely. Kara, I won't go off script anymore, I promise. The most beautiful thing about Hearts and Heroes is that it simplifies one basic human need, and that is love. Everyone has a heart, and everyone has a chance to be a hero. Tonight, we're surrounded by a room full of heroes and hearts that still beat because of several acts of love. Tonight, we celebrate moments in which husbands and wives, parents, colleagues, passers-by, medical staff, and first responders walked into a moment and impacted a life. We would like to recognize, first of all, tonight, the departments who had a part in saving a life in calendar year 2022. If each department will send a representative up to the front as I call the name of the department, we'll have a group photo taken at the end. Chief Lentz is going to start. We'll just line up this way coming up as we do this here in just a second. So I'll start with the agencies. First of all is Cabarrus County EMS. And you can hold your applause to the end. This is like graduation. So Concord, do I need to? I guess I should wait. Okay. Concord Fire Department. Kannapolis Fire Department. The Town of Harrisburg Fire Department. Cabarrus County Fire Services, Squad 410. Midland Fire and Rescue. Odell Fire Department. Mount Pleasant Fire Department. The Cabarrus County Sheriff's Office. Concord Police Department. Kannapolis Police Department. And then we have several from Atrium Health I'll call by individual department. Atrium Health Cardiac Services. Atrium Health Cabarrus Cardiac Services. Atrium Health Cabarrus Respiratory Care. Atrium Health Cabarrus Emergency Department. Got Elizabeth coming. Atrium Health Cabarrus Intensive Care. And Atrium Health Cabarrus Administration. We're going to line up here for a group photo as Kendra's handing out the last plaque. I know I've already said it, but these individuals lead organizations that save lives. At the end of the day, that's exactly what happens. You have somebody represented here from every single department in the hospital and the county who makes this a great success. And all of these folks will tell you they're not the ones who do the work. It is the folks sitting at the tables. But we want to make sure we have a collective photo here, and they'll snap that, and then we'll give everybody a round of applause here. All right. Everybody join me in a round of applause. All right, and now on to the celebration.
My name is Daniel Truitt. I've been very fortunate in my life to be a part of some pretty wonderful productions. I knew I wanted to be a song and dance man. I actually started my career at 6 when my mother first started taking me to dance classes. And then I'd go out and I'd do all these tricks and tap and all that in a competition. And then I'd always lose to somebody to come out and sing a song. So I thought, I think I better learn how to sing. Let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. I'd heard about this part of Rolf in The Sound of Music, and I thought, man, I'd like to go audition for that. So I told my agent, he set up an audition, and I went on the lot of 20th Century Fox, and as I came around the bend, there must have been a line of about 250 blonde guys in line to go in and have a little personality shot. So I got in line, and they shot a little footage. I never heard from them. I told my agent, I sure wish I would have had a chance to sing or dance or anything like that. He said, well, let me see. He went to a party, and at that party was Pamela DeNova, and she was a speech coach. And he said, I've got this young man that sings and dances. I think he probably could make a really good role. She said, you have a photograph of him? He said, yes. So I went to his car, got a photograph. She looked at it, set up a meeting with me. So I went on the lot of 20th. Met Pamela DeNova. She liked me. She took me over to Argyle Productions, which was a little kind of a pretty little house they had out there on the lot of 20th, and took me in to meet Bob Weiss and Saul Chaplin. And I mean, I was so naive. These were the biggest people in the business, you know. I didn't know, you know, they were just nice guys. I was a very well-trained dancer. I mean, I had real training, and I really was pretty accomplished in that area. So they gave me some steps of jumping on things and jumping around, you know, and they had a grading system. They gave me an A. So they sent me back to Bob Weiss, and with this A, Bob said, well then, Dan, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you a scene. Now, this is the last scene that you'll do. This is where you will turn the family in. And he said, I want you to learn this scene and do it for me and come back in 2 days. So I looked it over and got it and went back to him. Did the scene, he liked it very much. And he said, Dan, I don't have time for a screen test. They'd already started the film. They hadn't found a Rolf. So they started the film without even having Rolf cast because they couldn't find the person they were looking for. So I went over to the set, and they had a camera set up, and it was full of people. I don't know who all these people were, but I think they were pretty important. And Bob sat me down. He said, Dan, I'm going to talk to you, and I just want you to be normal. Just talk back to me, and, you know. Okay, and I said, fine. Then I was sitting there. I said, Bob? He said, yes. Do you mind if I sing? He said, I didn't know you sang. I said, yes, I sing. He said, well, what do you want to sing? I said, I want to sing 16 going on 17. So I sang 16 going on 17, and honestly, and from the bottom of my heart, I'll never forget the feeling. Everybody was smiling, Bob was smiling, and it was like a highlight of my career I'll never forget. So after I finished that, I got a call from my agent and it said, Dan, you've been cast as a part of Rolf in 20th Century Fox's film, The Sound of Music.
My name is Pamela Petrie. I play the piano and have done that since about the last 10, 11 years. I had been a nurse for 40 years and just retired in 2019.
I've been here in the Carolinas for 30 years. I met my wife, Truitt. We got married, and that's how I stayed here. I cannot tell you how thankful I am to be here, you know, in my golden years and the years that I've had here in Concord and the friends that I've met. It's been an incredible, wonderful experience.
I always said it was a day of miracles because, well, number one, the miracle was that they had called and asked me if I could play, and this was the first time I had played in a church for Wilkinson's. Number two miracle was when I started to play the pipe organ, there was one pipe that made an awful racket, and every time I would hit that note, it would burn, and I thought, oh, no. We'll go down here to the piano. Let's try it.
We went in, picked a pew where we usually sit.
I happened to notice a couple that came in at the back, and I remember looking back there and I remember smiling at them.
He said, did you see the pianist? He said, she smiled at me. Do we know her? And I said, well, probably, because I figured she probably had played for him at some point. And she had, but he had already made eye contact with her.
And I just kept playing. Then I noticed his wife, who I didn't know at that time who they were or anything, but I noticed her turn toward him, and she was saying something.
And I had just turned over to TJ and said, honey, I'm kind of dizzy. And then it just seemed like it got kind of dark.
I was looking straight in his face, and he said, I'm dizzy. He said, I think something's, and that's as far as he got. And when I looked at him, he was just absolutely gone.
And I just focused myself on him, and I realized that he was just staring straight ahead. He was not moving.
And I was looking at her, and I guess I stayed sitting up, and that's when I was gone.
No pulse, no breathing. I knew we were in trouble.
So at that point, I jumped up from the piano, ran back down the aisle, and I yelled, somebody call 911. And I yelled, Jay, come here a minute. And I remember his tie was tight. I tried to feel for a pulse, couldn't get one, so his wife is standing here. I said, help me get his tie done. Loosened it up, no pulse. Jay came around and we laid him down on this pew. I remember thinking, thank you, Lord, there's no cushion on this so I can lay him down here. And at this point, someone over this direction was calling 911, and I just felt again, no pulse, and he was not breathing. So she was telling me he had a pacemaker. I said, it's not working. So I just started, and I'm bent over, but I was able to get a good compression, so I just kept on pumping.
I just jumped down and started giving him mouth to mouth, and she began to tell me, count for me.
I don't remember about how many minutes it was, maybe 4 or 5 minutes, something like that, before I heard the sirens coming. That was probably one of the hardest compressions. I felt like he had a police vest on. You know, it was so tight, and I was just really pushing as hard as I could.
Came out, cardiac arrest on Buffalo, knew it was a church. Come in, and they're in the middle of a funeral, a sanctuary full of people.
The scene, we were in one of the middle of the aisles of the church.
We usually beat them there because we're closer to, our district. So we're usually already doing our patient care, gathering, patient history.
We went in, we asked the fire department, where are you at? Have you delivered any shocks with the AED? And they had delivered one shock prior to our arrival.
So I started documenting for EMS, and then I continue documenting when they come.
Teamwork is the most crucial part of any one of these calls. From the person who calls 911 the dispatchers giving them information and helping them through CPR on the phone, to the fire department, to EMS. Teamwork is the #1 thing that provides a good patient outcome.
When the paramedics got here, I remember they came around to me and I was still doing compressions, and he said, we're gonna have to get him on the floor. And I thought, this bench has been doing really good, you know. But I said, y'all go ahead, you know, you can get him on the floor, but I'm not gonna stop till you get him on the floor. So I kept on doing compressions, and they then laid him in the aisle, got him on the floor, and they hooked him up to the monitor. So I saw that he was in a rhythm that I knew, you know, it was V-fib, and we can shock that. Ventricular fibrillation is just when the heart's just not really beating, it's just quivering. So if you keep it pumping and keep the blood circulating, if you can shock it, you can actually maybe get another rhythm back. So I was like, thank you, Lord. He's got a deadly rhythm, but we can shock it.
CPR could be probably for a family member 100% very tough to witness.
The pastor came back and she was praying with me and staying with me, and I felt they were trying to distract me a little bit because they really were working on him right there. They didn't, I felt that once they got him into the ambulance, we were okay.
When you gain a pulse back, you want to get moving fast to the hospital because this patient is now critical. We transitioned care to the doctor, gave a full report of all of the medications we had given, all of the procedures we had performed, and the doctor had resumed care with their team and continued to stabilize him in the emergency room.
We're all in it together, right? Just to serve the community, period. Don't matter if you're for the county, for the city, it's all about the community.
Oh, I thought about him for all through the day, all through the night. I finally broke down that night and I called the hospital. I said, do you have a Dan Truitt? And they said, yes, we do. He's in room 2321. And I thought, I see you. Would you please let his wife know that I am praying for him and her, and just let them know that I called and asked about him. She said, hold on just a minute. The next thing I hear is her saying, Mr. Truitt, the nurse that gave you CPR, she's on the phone now and would like to know how you're doing. Would you like to tell her how you're doing? And I'm going, oh, God. He said, hello? And I went, Mr. Truitt? And I'm crying at this point. He said, yes. And I said, oh, I said, you have just made my day. You have just made my day. And he said, well, thank you. I said, oh, God. I said, you are doing okay? He said, yeah. He said, I'm doing fine. I'm like, oh, God. And I cannot stop crying. And I'm like, oh, I said, you just don't know how wonderful that makes me feel, knowing that you are okay. He said, yeah, they say that I might get to go home in a couple days. I'm going to have a couple stents, and then I'll be able to go home. I was like, praise God.
I don't know what we would have done if we would have lost Dan, because he's just a pillar in our family. I wish he could remember more. He really doesn't even remember being in the hospital. But he had some good times. Tried to get him to sing the Lord's Prayer, and he did. He remembered every word. And then they began to cut up with God Bless the USA, and they were acting like they couldn't remember the words and switching out the cities.
Apparently I sang the Lord's Prayer with my daughter, and we sang songs together, proud to be an American. I wish I could remember this. I did all these things, but I don't remember them. I don't know why I don't remember them. I want to.
The nurse outside, we apologized for being a little loud, and she said, oh, no. And that was the first time I'd seen her with her mask down a little bit. And she said, I was singing along with you. So I felt like that was a sign that things were going to be better, a lot better.
No, once I got home, I was so thankful, first of all, to be here. You know, and I didn't know to the extent of how bad it was, except what people told me. My heart had stopped 3 times. They had to resuscitate me to get me breathing again, and they were having a hard time, I guess, doing that. That's why they really were very hard on my chest with that. They broke a lot of bones, and, you know, that was the only thing that I recall, that I remember, was I couldn't hardly breathe or cough or anything like that without a lot of pain. But I began to, you know, just heal. And everybody just thought it was like an incredible thing that happened, that I'm still here. That's why I want to make sure that I spend my time doing an appreciation for this length of time, however long it is, that I have that I would not have had. So I'm very thankful for that. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, so, do.
Y'all didn't tell me we were going to have church, so there we go. How about that? At this time, we would like to have all the family, friends. Mr. Truitt, you're going to have to come back up as well. First responders, hospital staff, anyone who is here tonight who are involved in Mr. Truitt's care, please come forward for a group photo and recognition. And your name's on the slide if you forget who you are. And as they're getting situated, thank y'all for your patience with the pictures. It is very important that we document this night, especially for the survivors. So it takes a minute, but we want to get just the right picture. So Dylan does a great job, and we appreciate him being here. So. While he's snapping the last picture, we do send these photos to the survivors as a thank you, so you'll get these in the mail after the event, obviously once we have time to get them all signed up. So we decided to do that. Challenge coins surfaced during World War I era, and the practice of carrying a coin designated or were designed specifically for a unit that was popular with the Air Force and Army Special Forces. An individual would carry the coin at all times and present it to prove affiliation with the organization. The use of challenge coin established standards for achievements, commitment, pride, projects, and unity. This year's Hearts and Heroes, we want to share the Cabarrus County EMS Challenge Coin with those who performed life-saving measures on Mr. Truitt's case, and we'll be giving these out to others as well throughout the night for the bystander portion. Thank you to all the bystanders who assisted. I'm going to call names, and you're going to get one more exercise round. Ms. Petrie, you can come back up. If Hailey Wilkinson is here, Angie Morrison, the Reverend Beverly Malden, Reverend Wes Judy, and I think that's everybody that was a bystander there. So some folks obviously might not have been able to make it, but if I called your name, come on up and join Chief Lentz and Deputy Chief Malden as we present these, and they'll stay for one more picture. So. And you may have noticed the last name thing here, Deputy Chief Malden and Beverly Malden, the Reverend in the middle. That's his mother right there. So she was at the church that day for the service and was a part of this whole thing. So we are truly one big family. So thank you all. To the rest of the survivors, we will not make you all sing, I promise. So, Brenda Myers planned on spending the day with family, treating them to a fun day at the Great Wolf Lodge Water Park. While in the lobby area, she experienced a sudden cardiac arrest. An off-duty firefighter walking by noticed that something was wrong, and he immediately assessed the situation and rendered care. Ms. Myers was already receiving CPR when the 911 call was placed. The lifeguards had an AED on hand and delivered 2 life-saving shocks prior to first responders and EMS arriving to continue care. Ms. Myers was transported to the hospital, and after a lengthy recovery, she is happy to be here tonight and meet the bystanders and all who are involved in her care. At this time, we would like to have Ms. Myers and all her family, friends, bystanders, first responders, and hospital staff who were involved with her care to please come forward. And as you'll notice, sometimes tonight, this may be the first time that anybody's had a chance to get back together, so we like to give plenty of times for hugs and all that stuff. Might be the first time they've seen each other in a little bit. We would like to thank Great Wolf Lodge for being here tonight. I know we got a bunch of bystanders, but they had quite a few folks in the room, so thank you for being here tonight. And I don't expect any of my kids to hit Great Wolf up for any coupons or anything. Y'all be quiet over here. On to the next case. Charles Solomon was home with her husband the afternoon of March 11th. She was in the middle of a Zoom call when her husband in the same room heard a sound and saw that she had fallen out of her chair and was not conscious or breathing. Tom immediately called 911, and with the help of dispatch, he began chest compressions. Tom was able to provide a heartbeat for his wife until first responders arrived. After further care, AED shocks, multiple medications, Ms. Solomon arrived at the hospital where her care was continued until she was ultimately discharged from the hospital. At this time, we would like to have Ms. Solomon, all her family and friends, any first responders and hospital staff that are here tonight who were involved in her cardiac arrest care to please come forward for recognition. I mentioned folks in uniforms earlier, and you noticed some folks up here that are not obviously besides the survivor, but we have quite a few staff here from Atrium Cabarrus tonight. These nurses and physicians and specialists that are in the room, this would not be possible without them either, so we're very glad that we have representation from the hospital tonight here with us. I know several familiar nurse faces in the crowd here now, so. It was a little one in a chair. Somebody want to go check on that? Just point of reference. Is there a paramedic in the room? If we need one, we'll check on her out there. I know we have a truck on standby here, so not that we want to have to use it, but. All right. On the morning of March 26th, Angela Dickerson was found by her husband lying in bed. He called 911 when he was unable to wake her and knew something was wrong. Fortunately, Ms. Dickerson was able to remain calm and follow the dispatch. Mr. Dickerson was able to remain calm and follow the dispatcher's instructions. He got her to the floor and provided life-saving compressions to keep her heart going until the first responders arrived to help. After further CPR, medications, and defibrillation, Ms. Dickerson regained a pulse and was taken to the hospital to continue life-saving care. Ms. Dickerson is grateful to be here with us tonight, and at this time we would like to have her and all her family, friends, and first responders, any hospital staff that is here tonight, to join us up front to be recognized for providing cardiac arrest care to her. Yeah, you want to? Yeah, we'll make sure they get them. Ms. Dickerson has some cards here. We'll make sure they get to the right agency. Ann will help us with that either right now or right after the event, so we'll get them handed out. Thank you for those. CPR training made all the difference for Cheyenne Crowley when she suffered a sudden cardiac arrest while visiting her family in Concord. Ms. Crowley's husband, son, and daughter-in-law performed CPR until first responders arrived to continue her care. Ms. Crowley and her husband, David, are back home in Arizona, but she wanted to express her gratitude, and she sent a letter for us to be read. I want to make sure, is her daughter-in-law Sandy here? We didn't see her come in. I just want to make sure. I have the letter and the thank you card. I will gladly read it, but I didn't want to steal any thunder from her. So this is the letter that Ms. Crowley wrote. I'm going to read this now. I wish I could be there with you all in person, but my heart is with my heroes. I had my cardiac arrest on July 11th, 2022, while on vacation, visiting our son Travis, his wife Sandy, and our granddaughter Taylor, and my grandson Tatum. I was by the pantry door, and I was told by my grandson that I made a squeaky sound, and then I hit the floor. My daughter-in-law Sandy caught my head before it hit the floor, and that's when first responders went into action. My granddaughter called 911. My son Sandy and my husband Dave checked to see if I was choking or breathing, and I wasn't. Sandy started CPR. My son Travis and my husband Dave took over for her, while she and my granddaughter Taylor and grandson Tatum went out to flag down and direct my second first responders, the police, firefighters, EMTs, and paramedics. Our son Travis was the last person to breathe air into me with all he had left in him, and that's when my second first responders took over. I was told they had a hard time getting to me due to cars parked on the street. Don't do that if they're like in the way of us. So, I was told they came running to get home, and they shocked my heart, and it took and then I came back. My heart goes out to my heroes. I would not be there today without the quick actions of my family, who have gone through CPR classes and knew what to do. They kept my heart quivering until my second first responders arrived. I could have done without the broken ribs, but that was a small price to pay for survival. I was stabilized by the paramedics before transporting me to the hospital. My heart and my heroes. I would like to thank all the doctors and nurses that took such great care of me to get me back on my feet and keep my heart beating. I was touch and go for a while. Some said I wasn't going to make it. Some said I would. And yes, I did see a bright light and gold coming towards me, but it wasn't my time. He wasn't ready for me yet. I was a miracle, just like all of you. I'd like to thank the Atrium Transition Team, Kelly and Jennifer, for the great care after I got home, and to Dustin and the EMT who came to my house to draw blood and check my vitals. I wish I knew all your names, but know that I truly appreciate each and every one of you and all who made it possible for me to continue my life. I enjoy every day for as long as I can. Thank you from my heart to my heroes, Cheyenne Crowley. At this time, we would like to have all the first responders, hospital staff, and anyone who was involved in Ms. Crowley's care to join us up here for a photo and recognition. Mr. Austin and his wife had just held the door open for a Culver's customer, Jennifer Campbell, and her daughter. As he stood in line waiting to order, Ray Austin lost consciousness and collapsed. Culver's employee, Paul Furden, who is a retired pediatric nurse, observed the situation and stepped into action as Jennifer Campbell called 911. A customer assisted Paul as they completed about 3 rounds of CPR on Mr. Austin. Nearby community paramedic Mark Presley was close when he heard the call dispatched and responded. Mark arrived and continued the care that had been started and was soon assisted by first responders and additional EMS personnel. Ray Austin regained a pulse on scene and was found to be having a heart attack. Mr. Austin was taken to the hospital where his care continued. Mr. Austin and his wife are grateful to have been in public when this happened, so many people were willing to help. Mr. Austin is especially grateful for the staff at Culver's. I don't know if anybody is here. If you are, please come up here in just a second. And at this time, we would like to have Mr. Austin and his family, as well as all the first responders, hospital staff who were involved in his cardiac arrest care, to come up front for recognition. And Mr. Furden is with us. She just gave him a coin, so thank you for being here. So you may notice there's way more people in the room than some who are able to come up and be recognized tonight. In 2022, we had 21 cases just like the ones that you've seen here, including these as well, obviously, 21 total. Folks who were in cardiac arrest when we arrived, and I say we, from the time they called 911, bystander CPR being performed, and ultimately they were discharged from the hospital. Not everyone could join. Some folks didn't want to, and we certainly respect and understand that because this is still a very challenging time for everybody involved. So everybody was not able to make it. But please understand, at the beginning we had slides scrolling through as you were enjoying your dinner that actually showed the other cases that we recognized tonight. So thank you all for being here with us. This does conclude our recognition. I have a couple more things to mention. We would like to thank all the survivors and all those involved in the cardiac care and sharing their stories with us tonight. We do understand that these events can be traumatic for all parties involved, and know that we are here for you as Cabarrus County EMS, as well as all of public safety here, not only the day of the event, but also during the healing process. You just saw Mark up here. I know Ann has been up here, and Katie. These are some of our community paramedics. They do phenomenal work on the non-emergency side of the house. So after some of you were discharged, you may have seen our community paramedics come into your home and take care of you. And it's a great point of reference if you need help with any of your potential challenges as you recover. We are here for you during that time. The number is up here. You can always call us. And if we don't know who to call, we would certainly get you in touch with the right folks. Cabarrus County EMS would again like to acknowledge Atrium Health Cabarrus for their support of this event. Every year that we have it, they are always super involved in the planning. The delicious food that you enjoyed tonight was provided by Atrium Health Cabarrus. I know Tree is in the room. Anybody else, please stand up just a second. Let us recognize Atrium if you don't mind. Tree, Elizabeth, all the nurses, anybody else who's here from Atrium. And then you've heard multiple times, I've mentioned folks in uniform, but there's a lot of folks that don't wear a uniform, and none of this, again, would be possible without bystander CPR. As we've seen tonight, you never know when a loved one or a friend or a stranger even might need help. According to the American Heart Association, nearly 45% of out-of-hospital cardiac arrest victims survive when bystander CPR is administered prior to our arrival. It does improve survival. If you would like to learn CPR, please join us at one of our upcoming community CPR events. You can go to our Facebook page for updates. We also put it on our website. You can call that community paramedic number or any of the main lines at the station. Captain Kara Clark is here, and she'll be a point of contact for that. We are participating in a trial with Duke University called Race Cars, and they're basically studying how well pre-hospital CPR affects survival, and we're trying to train as many folks as we can. So it doesn't take long. It's nothing to be afraid of. Some of you in the room tonight probably performed CPR for the first time ever, and you see how it works. So we would love to join you in learning CPR. So thank you very much for that ability to do that. And then couldn't do this event without the Hearts and Heroes Planning Committee. We have multiple folks who work for EMS who have played a role in preparing for this event tonight. You can imagine the amount of work that went into the video that you saw. I'm going to thank our communications and outreach folks here in just a second. But there are a couple folks that I want to thank especially with EMS. Paramedic Ann Coffey and Lieutenant Kendra Tedder, who are sitting right here in front of me, do a phenomenal job. Most of you survivors have talked to them throughout this year because they reach out to you, they get your contact information, they work to get you here, and they have put a ton of work into the data collection and what goes on with that. And then certainly last but not least, Captain Kara Clark, who is here at this table as well. Kara is a rock star. She does so many things and has so many irons in the fire, but the work that she does, and you can see the amount of compassion that goes into planning a night like this, and she leads that charge, and we appreciate her and all that she does, as well as everybody who was here, even to putting candy on the tables and all the things. If we started naming folks, we're going to forget some, so we will leave it with that, but it is a wonderful time. And also to the city of Kannapolis for being able to use this beautiful facility. We are just about to outgrow it, so tonight is great to look around. We started this event 10 years ago at the hospital in the downstairs area below the cafeteria, and we have just continued to grow, and we love it. So next year, who knows where we'll be. We may actually have to rent the stadium or the arena or something like that, but we will find a way to have everybody here for sure with that. So our communications and outreach department, I mentioned the work that they put into the video. Y'all know the last couple of years we were virtual. If you saw that stuff online, they did all of that. We decided to do a mix of virtual and obviously the in-person, which makes this event so much better. So we certainly are thankful for them and all the work that they are doing right now, including live streaming this event. So Chief Lentz mentioned it, but to the elected officials in county administration in this room, thank you for being here, and thank you for your support. If you ever doubt that what you support doesn't make a difference, we know that tonight shows that it does, and we thank you for your continued support, not only to the ones who are here, but the ones who couldn't join us, and including the municipalities as well. We thank you all for your support and continued support. This does conclude our ceremony. If you are a Cabarrus County EMS employee, please don't leave. We would like everybody up here for one last photo. The rest of you, feel free to mingle and chat with each other, and then once we get that photo done, we'll just kind of let you leave as you wish to. So if you are work for EMS, come on up, and one more round of applause for everybody. Thank you.